In the name of Allah, in our last session, we spoke about PHP comments and PHP variables, and also some topics about loosely typed language, PHP variables declarations, and how to check PHP variables data types. In today's session, we will speak about PHP variables scope. In every language, we have a topic that's variables scope. How we can define variables and where and how we can access those variables. So the area of the getting access to a variable or the access type or authorization of a type of variable is called variables scope. So in PHP, variables can be declared anywhere in the script. In PHP, you can declare a variable in everywhere that you want. You are free to declare a variable in every place of your documents. It's not restricted to be in somewhere. But in this case, we have some scopes in them. So where we should define a variable and how we can get access to these variables. A variable inside a function, a variable outside of everything, a variable inside a class, a variable inside an object, or a variable as a parameter or an arguments and distance. So we have three scopes in PHP. We have three different scopes in PHP. First, local, global, and static. So, as definition of scope in here, that says the scope of variable is the part of the script where the variables can be referenced or used. The scope of variables is the part of a script where the variable can be referenced or can be used. So we have three different variables scope in PHP. These are local variables, global variables, and static variables. We will come on all of them. So firstly, global and local scope. A variable declared outside a function has a global scope and can only be accessed outside a function. A variable declared outside a function. We have too many functions, too many methods. So we have some variables, they are outside of them. So these are accessible only outside of the function. Only outside of the function. In PLSQL we learned this, that we had global and local, two types. The globals were those that were outside other blocks, and we had only uses of nested blocks. But then here we have three types: local, global, and static. So for global, we have definition that says that the variable declared outside a function has a global scope. So it means that it can only be accessed outside a function. There's an example. There's an example that says x is a variable and has a value of 5. It's a global scope. Has a global scope, or it's a global variable. It's a global variable. And we have a function. Function my test using x inside this function will generate an error. Why it generates error? Because we said that global variable is only accessible outside of the function, not inside the function. Not accessible inside our functions. It's accessible only outside of the functions. And another echo we have outside of the function, we have an x. This x is accessible here. It will not generate an error. Why not generate error? Because we have it outside of the function. Outside the function, it will not generate an error because we have used the global variable. So let's examine this. We need to open our VS Code, Visual Studio Code, or any ID that you have. So we're using the Visual Studio Code for our developments. So in here, we need to define a variable. We have a variable that's my var. It's outside of our function. Now we need to create a function here. Function, my function, like this. And inside this, we need to print a message. For printing, we need to do echo. Then this is a message. And as we said in previous sessions, we can use double quotations for formatting. So we can get access to variables directly inside the double quotations. So I want to print a my var. As we said, the variables are case sensitive. Now it's written that use of an assigned variable my var. An error says that use of an assigned variable. We have assigned the variable. There is a variable is assigned, but it's outside of our function. It's outside of our function. As a definition of global variable, a global variable is defined outside of a function, and it's accessible only outside of function, not inside of functions. So now, without executing the, it says that the use of an assigned variable. It means that the variable my var is not assigned inside the function. So it's not assigned inside the function. We have it outside of the function. So it's not accessible inside our function. This it cannot implicitly convert void to a string. Void because it's not assigned. Local variable, my var not assigned. So we need a local variable for this. So what's local variable? It says that a variable declared within a function has a local scope and can only access within the function. So a variable that is defined inside the function is a local variable. Define it inside the function and only accessible inside that function, not outside the function. Global is defined outside and accessible outside of the function, not inside. But a local is defined inside the function and it's accessible only inside that functions. So if we define the my var here, my var, now like we need to put a value, hello. Now the error is gone. The error is gone. Why? Because we have defined and said that the local variable is string my var. Says that it's a local variable and has a type of a string and its name is my var. We have defined it here also. It's global, it's not dependent on this one, but it's a local variable. We can't use this outside. So let me change the name to this to know that. If I use this here, echo my var, my va only. So we have used this in here. That says it's a global variable. Now it says a global variable, not a local variable. It's not a local variable. Now it's a global variable. So inside this, it says that it's the local variable, but when we have it in here, it says that it's a global variable. So for this, it says a global variable integer string. It's a integer string. It is a string, but inside the string, it's an integer. We said previously that we can do calculations if we have numbers inside the double quotations. That's type is integer string. Integer string. That's a type that we have only in PHP, not in other language. So and the global keyword for a specific typings and for better readability of words, the variables, knowing variables, PHP has a global keyword. PHP has a global keyword. So you can assign it a variable global and you can use it in everywhere part of your code. It says that the global keyword is used to access a global variable from within a function. From within a function. To do this, use the keyword before the variables inside the function. If you want your functions be global, even you have defined it inside your functions. Even you have defined it inside your functions. By using the global keyword, you change that local variable to global variable. You convert that the local variables to global variable. Now, you can use that before your variables. You can use it before your variables. As here in PHP 8, we are not restricted to write this one. It knows it by default. And here it says a local variable, yeah? But in here, it's without generating an error, it says a global variable. It says a global variable. Let's examine this. Does this print something? Did I save it? No, I didn't save it. So now it says that this text from come from a variable that's 13, and now it says undefined variable my VA in here. In line 24 it says my VA is not defined. In my it says that warning undefined variable. But now I can resolve this problem with global keyword. If I run this, oh, it says that you need to just define it, not value it. Then you can put a value. My VA to hello. Now you can put my VA to hello. So by defining that global, we define that variable and we assign that variable to be global. So we can access it in outside of our variables. We can access outside of variables. So if you run this code, it will not generate an error to you. Why? Because we have assigned that a global variable. So the next part is the static keyword. So you know that when we execute a program, when execution ends, variables are destroyed and their values also destroyed until we do next executions. Until we do next executions. So it says that normally when a function is completed, executed, all of its variables are deleted. However, sometimes we want to a local variable not to be deleted. We need it for a further job. So after execution of a function, when the job of function is finished, all its variables and values are get selected. They are getting reset. Their values are reset, and they are not known anymore. But for when we need them to stay, we need them their values to stay. We can achieve that by using the static keyword. By using the static keyword. So to this use the static keyword when you first declare the variable. When you declare the variable, you put a static keyword for this. So what it means that the values should not be changed. The value should not be changed and the value should stay. Just put the static keyword before your variable. Put the static keyword before your variables. Then each time the function is called, that variable will have the information it continued from the last time the function was called. And the variable is still the local variable. You can use that only this on local variables, not the global variables. So the static is only for local variables. It's not accessible for global variables. So you cannot use it with global variables.